I'm Roberto Baldwin, and welcome to the Stupid Podcast Ideas podcast, where we take our worst podcast schemes, talk about what they could have been, and then promptly send them to the trash heap of hubris. A new podcast will be available every Tuesday and Thursday until folks do not want to talk to me about their stupid ideas anymore. Today's podcast is sponsored by the Game Boy Color. I got Tetris on mine. Look at that. It's pretty dope. Game Boy Color. Mine's pink. Welcome to episode 10 of the Stupid Podcast Ideas podcast. And my guest today is morning newsletter writer Amy Widdowson. How you doing, Amy?
You know, I am doing as well as one can expect. I think that is the appropriate response to have right now. And I've only yelled at my plants like once today, so it's going well.
Were they acting up?
Well, they're just, they've heard a lot of me. I live by myself in an apartment in San Francisco, so I have taken to talking to them. And I think it was a joke at first, and now it's just become a thing.
I talk to my animals, my cats, the dog, and I don't like, hey, do this or sit or stay or whatever. I ask them like really complex questions. Or like, hey, do you think I should write this article about the Mazda 626 from 1994? And they're like, no.
So I like it. They're your little backboard. They're like, no, you can keep going on that.
Just keep writing about whatever Elon Musk is doing. That's what they tell me.
Well, you're busy then, I guess.
I'm extremely busy. That is my day for the last couple months.
Your face speaks volumes.
Yeah. So how are you dealing overall with the stay-at-home orders, mandate, rules, whatever?
Well, it's.
Have you decided to liberate your house yet? Liberate my apartment.
Yeah, so it's funny. This is probably a little too serious for a funny, dumb podcast show, but I quit drinking 5 years ago, and I have also, so I feel like I've spent the last 5 years getting used to being with my own thoughts. So frankly, I feel like I am better positioned for this quarantine than a lot of other people. And there's been some unexpected, because I've got a daily extended family FaceTime that we're doing now at 6:45. And when I say extended family, it's like all of my mom's sisters and their kids and their kids' kids and like the dogs. And it's absolute chaos. And some days 3 people show up and some days like 12 people show up. And that's been really, really nice, actually. So I'm kind of a ridiculous optimist at times. So I've just been trying to do the best I can.
So now, okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Now, I see the guitar hanging. Well, I keep pointing like people. Well, you know what? In the video, people can see me pointing towards the guitar.
Excellent.
Right now. So, do you play guitar, or do you just have the guitar, or do you sort of play the guitar? Do you know like 2 songs, or you're like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing?
If I was super clever, I would say some quip about like buying that just so that my Zoom backgrounds were interesting. But no, I play. That's been something I've really tried to keep up, and I'm playing about half an hour to an hour every day, just picking stuff up and going over it and over it again. And actually, one of my personal goals was to play an open mic this year, because I had played guitar when I was younger, but didn't until last year. Picked it back up. Can't do an open mic anymore, so occasionally I will turn on Instagram Live and just play, like while I'm practicing, just have it there. And I'm using that as like a baby steps into playing in front of a real audience when we're able to do so.
I will say, I play, like, I have a bunch of bands, and if you have a band with you, to me, it's a lot more comfortable than being by yourself. I feel like when you're by yourself, I am more I didn't start doing karaoke until I was in the band, and doing karaoke to me is more terrifying than being on stage with an entire band behind me.
That makes so much sense.
So the idea of an open mic where now you're in charge of the music too.
It's just you.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I picked up guitar. I was singing very young. My family's really musical. And I picked up guitar because no boys was when I was in junior high and high school, it was like all the pop punk era. So nobody needed like a crooning young lady to be in their band. So I picked up guitar because I was like, well, no one's going to play with me. So I might as well just, have my own backup. But yeah, no, it's terrifying. It is just, I'm getting like anxiety hives just thinking about playing in front of strangers by myself. So now I just talk to like computer screens all the time. It's great.
So were you ever in a band where you had like other people and?
No. It's funny. My father has been in bands his whole life, so I got to see him play a lot. But yeah, I've never been in a band. I don't know. Maybe that can be the next goal. Like once I'm able to actually hang out with people, like try and get in a band somewhere.
Okay, so here I have a couple things everyone should do in their life. One, own a convertible. It doesn't have to be flashy and awesome and cool or whatever. Just have a convertible. If you don't live in New York or San Francisco where you don't need a car, but if you live somewhere else, or if you need a car, buy a convertible just for once in your life. It can be a piece of shit. It doesn't matter. And you drive it for like a year and it breaks down and it bursts into flames. Two, join a band or make a band or form a band. And you don't have to play live if you don't want. But I will say, I started a band like 8 to 9, I don't know, a while back. And I was in bands when I was younger. But as you get older, everyone keeps talking about how it's difficult to make friends. You have this very regimented life. If you're in a band, you have like people that you have joined the band, but we need a bass player. Maybe someone they knows somebody who's a bass player. And then now you need a person. You're like, oh, now I need a drummer, and you know that's someone. And then you start playing shows with other bands, and you meet those people, and then maybe you start a band with those people, and it's just like this very. As long as you stick with it, it's this very this community.
Totally.
That I think a lot of people are missing now because we have such insane lifestyles, and you don't have to be a great band. And you can play like super shitty shows with like 7 other bands. You can be the first band. You can be bad, and I love that. That 20-something-year-old like me who is like, oh, it has to be like this and this and this and this. That guy's dead.
Yeah.
We're here to have fun, and we're here to make sure everyone else has fun. And I think being in a band in the 30s and 40s is great.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the not caring, because one of my favorite things about being in my 30s is when I finally got over the fact that I don't have to be the best at something or good at something in order to do it and enjoy it. Like that was such a 20s mindset it's frankly why I stopped playing guitar, because I wasn't going to be doing it for real. So why would I even try, which is the most ridiculous mindset in the entire world. And I really like not being so one of my projects last week was my KitchenAid stand mixer broke while I was making challah bread, and you can't go and get it fixed right now because nothing's really open. So I did some troubleshooting. I spent way too much time on the internet and figured out that it's one little gear that is designed to fail to protect the motor if you're putting too much work on it. So then I watched 4 different YouTube videos and then proceeded to take the KitchenAid apart myself and find the gear and replace it and put it back together. And I would have never had the patience for that in my 20s because I would have just assumed I wouldn't be good at it, as opposed to going, okay, I'm going to sit down today. I'm going to go on a YouTube deep dive. Luckily, I wasn't radicalized. I just was watching videos about fixing my KitchenAid.
It's like KitchenAid, alt-right.
Whoa!
You're like, what? How did that happen?
You just turn around to get something from the fridge and you're like, oh God, the FBI.
Turn back around with the guy with the white hood. You're like, come on.
Oh, come on. Not again. Just kidding. Bad jokes. Anyway. Yeah, no, so it's, I mean, the long and the short of it is I think we're all doing the best we can, trying to check in with people, trying to keep some form of normalcy. And I'm also really liking, by the way, getting, we have talked online a lot, but I don't think we've ever chatted in person. And it has led to more video conversations with people. And I hope that there's an element of that stays. I would rather not have Zoom meetings all day long, but hopefully we can find a balance.
Someone's not muted and you can hear a kid in the background.
Oh my God.
And you can tell who it is, and the person's not at their desk and you're yelling at them like, oh, mute.
Well, I'm the worst, I guess, because I have a very expressive face and I'm not very good at hiding when I'm not happy.
Mhm.
So I'll get these side notes from people who are like, Amy, you need to get it together. Like, I can see that you're not happy right now. And then I'm the grump that's like, everybody needs to mute. It's really, I don't know when I became that person, but I embrace that personality just wholeheartedly right now.
So embracing personalities and let you know, in fact, let's just embrace stupidity. Let's talk
Yes.
about your podcast. How many podcast ideas do you have for us today?
I have a lot of them. We don't have to go through all of them.
Wait, how many is that?
Oh, I didn't count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This makes for really good audio, just counting. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 of them.
17 podcasts. So I'm writing down 17. Now, so we had someone on here, Alex Wilhelm, who had 14 podcasts.
Now, I did listen to his episode, and Alex and I are good buddies. So, it's not like I wanted to one-up him, but I'm glad that I did.
So what we're going to do is lightning round. We're going to
Gosh.
through super quick because 17 podcasts is a 5-hour podcast, but I find these more fun because if it's just really bad, no.
Exactly. So, let's not dwell on any of these. No, beginner's mindset, move through them. Okay, first one. Okay. All right, first one. True crime reenactments with squirrel noises.
Okay, so you have people like reenacting true crime like in Dateline?
Yeah.
But
all the audio is like the dialogue is squirrels.
Okay. Hey, that's funny because you want to hear a funny story.
Yes.
Do you know who Darth is on Twitter?
I sure do. I am a big fan of Darth.
So Darth and I, we had this art project and we ended up at XOXO. Darth was not at XOXO, by the way. And I put together this video because Darth couldn't be there. There's no way to like sort of bring Darth in without Darth losing Darth's identity. So I brought, hold on. This, which is for people listening to the video, this is a stuffed animal version of Darth that my wife put together. I don't know. I'll just throw it over there. Let's go to make sure the dog doesn't eat it. And we did an interview. We did a Q&A video, but for Darth's voice, we used the actual sound of red pandas, which is a really sort of annoying squealing noise. And in front of an audience of, I don't know, 100, 200 people, I'm like up on stage pointing to this video and just cracking up because I think it's the funniest thing ever. So, is it possible? Yes, you can only do it once.
Well, I was going to say, because it's one of those things where the joke, you push the joke, people laugh, and then it's not funny. And you either have to stop or you have to keep going for like another 20 minutes until people lose their mind and it's funny again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be like the Daily Show podcast when they did all of the like one-off episode things. It would have to be that. So a lot of these are just kind of thoughts that I've had while wandering around my apartment by myself. But I would just like to expound on my opinions on no-knead bread because it's supposed to be the easiest kind of bread, that very the Jim Leahy, you let it sit, you don't have to knead it. But every time I make it, it's different and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So I think I'm taking some of that on myself. So I think it would be very cathartic to walk through all of the ways I'm messing it up. And everyone's making sourdough right now, so I would have plenty of guests to comment on stuff.
I feel like that's a tweet. That's just a thread. Hey, you want to hear me talk about no-knead bread? And everyone on the internet's all, no.
Everyone on the internet is like, no, we don't. Nobody asked for that. Nobody. Okay. All right. I would like to do a podcast with some of my girlfriends where we try and reenact plot lines from the Babysitters Club from memory.
Oh, that's a good 4 episodes.
Yeah. I think it would be funny until it wouldn't be funny anymore.
You just grab the book and then you show the book to everybody and you're like, oh, this is what we're going to do. Something happened and now we're going to figure it out. Go.
Exactly. So less like improv and more just bad story construction. Yeah. Another thing I would like to find, there was one traumatic book from my childhood. So when I was in the second grade, I was in handbell club because of course I was. And there was a pile.
In what club?
Handbells, like ding, ding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there's a pile of books that we would read while we were waiting to get ready. And one of them was on ghosts. And basically that book scarred me until I was 18 years old. I was the kid at sleepovers that would not allow anyone to tell ghost stories because then I couldn't sleep. So I would like to try and figure out what that book was and then maybe have a ceremonial, like, I don't know, some wake for it or something.
Or burn it.
Yeah, or burn it. I mean, the sound would be meh, but it's fine. I would like to have the Out Lonely Each Other podcast because I feel like every time I have a conversation, not just Out Lonely, Out Quarantine Each Other. Because every time I have a conversation with someone and they ask me like, well, how are you doing? And I say, well, I'm okay. You know, I live by myself. I'll get a response of like, yeah, but what about my kids? Or yeah, but what about this? And what about this? And
the one-upmanship.
The one-upmanship. But we could have like a celebrity guest with an air horn. I think that's what would.
Well, would the air horn be when the person just has gone too far? You're like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah. Or if they're talking about something that all of us are dealing with, then you air horn it.
I can't believe I'm stuck at.
Yeah. I can't believe I have to be in the same place all day long. Okay, what else? Hate reading Ayn Rand for sport.
No. No one should have to listen to that.
No one should have to.
I'm going to hate read. I think we should stop hate reading articles on the internet because it's like breed. It allows more hate reads to breed. Whenever you read whenever you hate read an article and then share it on Twitter, all you do is encourage people to write bad articles.
I think that's the takeaway quote from today, frankly. I think everybody needs to know that. I would like to a podcast where people try and describe the TikToks that they're sending to their friends who don't use TikTok. Because I just realized how ridiculous and how stupid it must be for my mom to get a TikTok I sent her and for her to try and open it up and be like, what are you doing? Don't send me this.
Two girls, Mom. And they're dancing to this song. Now, the song was made by another TikTok user like 2 days ago. So this is almost over, by the way.
But if you try and bring this up tomorrow, I won't talk to you because you'll be past it.
No.
But here's the thing. I am so addicted to TikTok in this quarantine because the algorithm has figured out I just want farm animals, dogs, history TikTok, and divorce TikTok. So there's, we take everything we can. Anyway, fun times. Let's see here. Reading bad tweet storms in a British accent. I don't know why we would do that.
Rob from Boing Boing, I don't know how to say his last name, starts with a B. He read the former EIC of Wired's email to the staff saying that that Wired was no longer a pirate ship. In his British accent, and it was actually pretty good.
It was pretty good?
You can do it once and then...
All right, a deep dive, and this would be a multi-part series. I'd have to bring in some experts on why my favorite movies are the following: Singing in the Rain and Silence of the Lambs.
So just 2 movies. So it's one episode.
Two. I need a professional to come in and tell me what that's about.
You like singing? You like pennies and face masks?
Oh God, that's terrible. So good. I'm sure this exists, but people just screaming about Oxford commas and whether or not to use them.
That's just word nerd Twitter.
True, but let's make that live. We could do once we can all get back into we can have throwdowns live shows once we're allowed to be back in a theater together. I would pay to see that. Having listened to Alex's episode, I liked his Starbucks idea about going and trying the awful drinks, but doing that with generic Safeway ice cream instead.
Oh, trying all the generic Safeway
yeah.
And
yeah. Or they call it instead of turtles, they call it random chunks of chocolate-a-thon or something. I would like that one. Oh, I already brought this up, but I would like a call-in show where people compliment me on fixing my KitchenAid mixer.
Aww.
Why did I write this down? What is wrong with
Look
me?
what I did. The only way this would work is that every week you would have to fix something, and there have to be a video of you fixing it, and then you have to wait a day, and then you would have the people call in and tell you how great you are.
I think that's just a self-help empire that you have just devised. I think we could get funding.
I have people call and tell me how wonderful I am.
Yeah, I think it's that or therapy. All right. I would like someone who's a very good cook and understands the science to talk about the ratio between frosting and cake for different cakes. So one on carrot cake.
White cake, and the next would be carrot cake, and then black forest cake, and then how much frosting there is, and why that the ratio and why that is.
That's the entire show.
You love this. You want somebody else to do this so you can listen to it.
I really do, especially because my last one, and maybe this is just because I made a cake last week, but I would like 2 very distinguished Oxford debaters to do a whether or not carrot cake is a breakfast food. So, yep, that's what I would like.
Why would that be a breakfast food?
There's vegetables in it.
Who eats vegetables for breakfast?
That's a good point. You just destroyed it.
No one's getting up and be like, ooh, broccoli.
Okay, then I want a former district attorney or someone to deliver a closing argument on why it's okay that I had carrot cake for breakfast.
You know why it's okay? Quarantine. You can do whatever you want.
Hell yeah. I love it.
Up is down, right is left. Breakfast is carrot cake.
Breakfast is outside is inside, all those things. So that's the rapid fire of my really bad ideas for podcasts.
That's 17?
I think so.
Okay, maybe I didn't write them all down.
We were going through them very quickly. There was a lot too. Let me see if I missed one. No, I think that's it. Yeah. Fun times.
Fun times.
Oh, I did the one that was really bad. Just narrating your cleaning. So like have someone record themselves as they're cleaning their apartments or houses and just have them narrate it.
There's like cleaning.
Yeah. And I was vacuuming. And that would be more performance art. I could see that at MoMA in like 25 years, a compendium of all of that.
It's probably there right now, except we can't go see it.
Yeah. There we go.
It's probably going on right now. And they're just like, I can't believe I got my slot at the MoMA right now.
Right now.
Oh, poor performance artists. What do they do?
I know.
I guess I'll do it on Zoom. Same place some idiot showing off his Game Boy Color.
I was very rude. How are you holding up in all this?
Oh, I'm fine. I don't know. It's everyone's in the same boat. You know, we're all stuck at home. I typically work from home anyway. I do travel a lot for my job, and that's come to a complete stop. So for me, like you don't, as someone who travels as much as I do, and a lot of other automotive journalists do, is you kind of complain about the travel sometimes, but then if you're not in an airport with like every 2 weeks you get the shakes. We're all sort of past that now, and we're like, well, I think there's the realization it's very unlikely that there'll be any real car events for the rest of the year. You're just like, okay. But I have a dog, and I got 3 cats, and I got a wife, and I got this Game Boy.
I mean, if you wanted to show me your dog, I would not be opposed to seeing your dog.
He's asleep.
Okay, well, we don't want to disturb
whenever he decides to come in here and do this, he just gets out of hand. Like first it's like, oh, pet me. And then he's just like,
Well, I have a question, actually, back to the first thing that you said about getting a convertible, because I agree with that. I think it's an excellent idea. Mm-hmm. I drive a Chevy Bolt, and I love it. I love my little electric car. When are we going to see electric convertibles? Because I will buy the crap out of that.
Well, I have been complaining and yelling on the internet that we need a nice electric convertible. So much so that I've actually threatened to take my old convertible that I sold to my friend who sold to my other friend, it's actually my first car, is a 69 Datsun Roadster, and making that into an electric car.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah. Or not. It might just
or
be.
or it will be a money pit that you just toss cash into.
The conversions are usually money pits because you're never going to get the money out that you put into it.
Yeah.
But most cars are sort of money pits. You put a lot of love and time and money into it, and then you turn around and you're like, oh, I'm only getting that much.
Oh no. Oh.
So yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah,
good. Well, hopefully you harangue them enough and we get one, because that would be really cool.
I think it's something that somebody somewhere should make. At one point, I was hassling Honda about bringing the Honda E, which is their little compact EV to the United States. They're not going to. But I did take the Honda E, and in Photoshop, I got rid of the top and made it into a convertible. I sent that to them on Twitter. I'm all, look at this! I've done all the hard work. Now make this a reality.
I did your jobs. Here you go.
I did your job. Yeah, I think there's a for a long time the idea of fun and whimsy in an electric car was they're just separate. And Tesla, I think, when it brought the Model S, which is a good car, the Model X, which is like just wacky as fuck as an SUV, and then the Model 3, which is a good car. I think those sort of brought the idea of fun back to cars because they go fast and they're comfortable and whatever. I think Ford is sort of picking it up there on the Mach-E, which is, a crossover based on the Mustang look. The Honda E. So there's cars that are coming out that are fun, but I think the issue is that there's a lot of research and development that goes into these vehicles. Yeah. And you don't want to just.
It's such an upfront cost, and with the current political climate and changes in consumer,
But did you ever see the Volkswagen Buggy, the big buggy?
No, I didn't.
So they have an electric buggy that originally it's based on the Manx-Myers buggy, those buggies from the '60s that everyone loved, the Volkswagen bug engines. So they made one that is an electric car, and it's bigger because laws and whatnot. And it was kind of like, oh, look at this fun thing we made, and then enough people liked it, like, oh, maybe we'll make it, and they're like, oh, maybe we have the platform, someone else can make it now, maybe they'll make it. So I drove it. I actually had a chance to drive it.
Oh, cool!
At Pebble Beach last year, and something you should never do as a journalist is tell somebody when you get back after you've tested something is like, hey, can I buy this? I pulled up and I'm like, if you make this under $30,000, I will buy this. Because there's nothing in it. It's got it's nothing. It's just a buggy.
That's amazing.
If they bring it or someone else makes it or whatever, and I think if it's under 30,000, I mean, they're not going to sell a lot. Yeah. I
just love my electric car so much. Like it's been the easiest car I have ever owned, and it just does its job really well. It's like just highly enjoyable, easy to do, don't have to go to gas stations. I had to get it washed because it's sitting outside on the San Francisco streets and is covered in pollen right now. And I went to get it washed at a Shell station, and they're doing the social distancing. And I didn't even know where to drive. I pulled up onto the gas station and was like, I don't know what to do anymore. So, that could be another.
That's a podcast.
Another.
What do I do?
Yeah, the Smug EV Driver podcast. Oh, there's one more. I also had the Smug Sober Person podcast.
See, there's the Smug. Okay, so the Smug EV Driver, I think, would be a fun podcast. And I think it doesn't have to be super enthusiast. I don't think it has to be super hardcore, like a lot of the Tesla podcasts, which I can't.
No. In fact, it should not be. It should be for normal people.
Yeah, for normal people, but it's fun to call it the Smug EV podcast. The Smug Sober podcast is also funny. I don't drink, but I just don't drink. It's I don't have any really overarching reason. I just
then you're the most smug of them all because you've got no platform.
I got nothing. I got no story. I got nothing that's like, I stopped drinking because I woke up naked and in Disneyland.
Again, you are the ultimate smug person who doesn't drink. There's your
I got nothing.
I'm
like, I've drunk a couple times, and I got drunk maybe twice in my life, and a lot of money. Alcohol is very expensive. I realize.
See, you're outlining the first episode right now. That's it. That could be espoused upon for 2 hours at least.
Let me tell you why I'm better than you, which is
yeah, exactly. Just do it. Which is really what podcasts are all about, aren't they? Anyway.
Let me tell you why I'm better than you. The podcast.
Yes,
That's
the podcast.
I don't drink. I live in San Francisco. I talk to my plants.
I talk to my plants. So wait, I am a podcast. Cool. I think we can market this. We can merchandise this. It'll be great. I also do yoga. Just add that to the mix. Add it to the smug mix.
So it's really just the San Francisco podcast.
True.
Every week you talk about a thing that you do and why that makes you better than everybody else. Here's the thing that I do in San Francisco.
Oh God. Oh, I'm already feeling just like that's just gross and awful, and we're gonna get hate mail, and I don't know how they're gonna find a mailing address for either of us.
They can just tweet at me. I don't care. People can get mad at me. People know how much I love. First of all, people know. I think most people know how much I love San Francisco. Mm-hmm. But people also know how much I despise some of the changes that have happened in the city.
Yeah, I think that you're allowed to do that I've been here for 11 years, and I'm really involved in community stuff, and I feel like you're allowed to be really upset with a lot of stuff as long as you can. It has to come from a place of love. I think that's important.
Yeah,
if you try and fix it, if you've got issues, try and fix it.
That's part of the show. I love San Francisco, so I'm better than you. Smug.
Smug. This is gonna get made, and it's gonna do really well, and then it's gonna cause a lot of heartache for people. It'll be great.
Sponsored by Blue Bottle. It's gonna be sponsored by Black Jeans and Black Hoodies.
Yes, indeed.
The official uniform of the San Francisco local. I've lived in San Francisco for 17 years, and the last 2 years, somehow it finally just happened. I was wearing black on black on black, and I would go to the things, and people would and other guys were wearing black. They're like, "Oh, you're from the city?" I'm like, "Oh, I've been here for a long time." I'm like, yeah, you can tell.
And the theme song can be the sea lions, just yelling at each other for 5 minutes.
The Smug San Francisco podcast. So that's the podcast we're taking away from this.
Yep.
Exciting adventure through your 17 podcasts, including one about squirrel noises, No Need Bread, a Babysitter's Club reenactment, tracking down a scary book that you once read while in the Bell Club?
Handbells.
Handbells.
Ding, ding,
ding. Did you guys just practice that song all year?
Oh, you're giving us way too much credit. We're talking about these tiny little, how old would we have been? 7 or 8 years old? Yeah, just imagine tiny little 8-year-olds holding these massive bells and trying to all work together. It was I didn't mean this as a pun, but it was a gong show.
Annoyance.
Oh, it was so bad. So bad.
Checking out out loneling or out quarantining your fellow man. How to explain TikTok to your mom.
Yeah.
British accents reading bad tweet storms. And the cake to icing ratio. Those are the ones I wrote down. Some of them I've forgotten already.
They were just not that. They weren't bad enough, and they weren't funny enough. So there we go. We'll just have to workshop them some more.
Or I didn't type them down. I'm a bad typist. Well, Amy, thank you so much for being on the show.
This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. This is the most ridiculous show. I don't know. It's probably not the most ridiculous show on the planet. It's the most ridiculous show that I'm doing right now.
Excellent.
I looked at YouTube because I forgot today was Tuesday. There's supposed to be a podcast up right now, and I forgot. So it outputted. It's finally up on YouTube. I'll have to turn it on and everything. But I saw that 45 people watched one episode. So
hey,
that's a.
Well, I look forward to the stupid podcast idea bump I will get in my social footprint. It's going to be great.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a good week. You don't know what day it is. Yeah. A new podcast, a new Stupid Podcast Ideas podcast every Tuesday and Thursday, unless I forget what day it is, like I did today. But it doesn't matter, man. Time doesn't matter. Bye-bye.
Bye.